Imagine for a moment a single corporation, a simple fruit company that held more raw power than entire governments. From a quiet boardroom, thousands of miles away, it decided who ruled, who fell, and who starved. This isn't some rejected Hollywood thriller. This, astonishingly, actually happened. For decades in Latin America, the real fight wasn't between presidents and parliaments. It was between fragile, nascent nations and one colossal company, United Fruit. So rich, so deeply wired into Washington, D.C., that countries like Guatemala, Honduras, and Costa Rica functioned less like sovereign states and more like mere subsidiaries of a sprawling banana empire. Old empires marched with flags. This one came with a logo. And the craziest part? For a long time, almost nobody truly noticed, because it was all done in the name of business. Welcome to Historic Money Map. Let's rewind to the late 1800s. The world is shrinking fast. Steamships, railroads, telegraphs. Bananas are the hot new thing in the US and Europe. Exotic, sweet, and getting cheaper by the day. But here's the problem. They rot in a heartbeat. You have maybe 4 to 5 days from jungle to supermarket shelf. So if you want to win this game, you don't just grow bananas. You own the entire chain. The plantations, the railroads, the ports, the refrigerated ships, and, crucially, the governments that would never dare interfere. In 1899, the United Fruit Company is born, and in a flash, it becomes a monster. It owns the biggest private fleet in the Western Hemisphere, the famous Great White Fleet. It builds railroads that snake through dense jungles, deliberately avoiding major cities, designed for one thing only: rushing bananas to the coast. National budgets, soon enough, start depending on banana taxes and the company's wages. By 1904, the writer O. Henry visits Honduras and coins a phrase that will echo through history: Banana Republic. It wasn't an insult, it was a diagnosis. A country whose politics, economy, and future are entirely controlled by a single export, and the foreign corporation that owns it. United Fruit bought millions of acres for pennies, keeping huge chunks deliberately empty just to kill any potential competition. Workers lived in company towns, company houses, company hospitals, company stores. You were paid in company scrip, only spendable at company shops, where prices were, of course, set by guess who. But the real terror was its political power. They picked presidents, they wrote tax laws, they crushed unions with brutal efficiency. And when things got messy, they simply called Washington. Because, quietly, the Monroe Doctrine had been rewritten. If an American company feels threatened, America goes to war. Case in point, 1911 in Honduras. The company doesn't like the new government. A couple of phone calls later, U.S. warships show up. Message delivered. Government replaced. But nothing, absolutely nothing, comes close to Guatemala, 1954. United Fruit owns hundreds of thousands of unused acres. On paper, they're declared almost worthless, so they pay almost no tax, about $3 an acre. In 1951, the democratically elected president, Jacobo Arbenz, initiates a groundbreaking land reform. His genius move? We'll pay you exactly what you told the tax man it was worth. Suddenly, those worthless lands became sacred, invaluable property. Cue the biggest corporate propaganda campaign in history. Arbenz is a communist, a Soviet puppet, a clear and present threat to the free world. Fun fact? The U.S. Secretary of State and the CIA director at the time both were former United Fruit lawyers and shareholders. Conflict of interest? What's that? In 1954, the CIA launches Operation PBU Success. A few hundred mercenaries, a fake radio station broadcasting total chaos and fabricated news, and Arbenz is led to believe his entire country is collapsing around him. He resigns. A US-backed dictator takes over. Land reform is dead. United Fruit gets everything back. What followed was 36 years of brutal civil war and over 200,000 deaths. United Fruit called it a corporate victory. Washington called it stopping communism. History calls it one of the darkest, most undeniable examples of a company overthrowing a nation. They repeated this script across the region. Colombia in 1928 saw a massacre. In Honduras, presidents came and went with company approval. Nicaragua, Panama, everywhere. In Latin America, they nicknamed it El Pulpo, the octopus, because its tentacles were, quite literally, in everything. Eventually, the company rebranded to Chiquita. The methods certainly got slicker, but the playbook is, in many ways, still alive today, just with sophisticated supply chains, complex algorithms, and powerful lobbying instead of gunboats. So here's the chilling question this story leaves us with. Who really runs the world? The governments we vote for, or the hidden powers that finance them, shape policies, and pull the strings behind the scenes? History doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes. If this story shook you as much as it still shakes me, hit that subscribe button and join Historic Money Map right now. Turn on the bell because we're just getting started. The past isn't dead. Sometimes it's just warming up. See you in the next one.